Hello, hi, my name is Taylor, and I wanted to do a video going over my journaling ecosystem. I love watching other people make these videos, so I decided to join in. This will go over the system I've been using for the first half of 2025, and hopefully I'll be able to stay consistent in this system until the end of the year. This is the most secure I felt in the system. I used to be, well, still could be, a person who switches books, switches systems. I have been journaling for well over a decade, and I very rarely actually fill books. I have a tendency to get about halfway through and then abandon it. I tried bullet journaling, rings. I tried traveler's notebook systems, and this is where I've settled for now. So let's start with the books that I use every day. Just these two right here. Start with a planner. This is the Hobonichi Weeks Mega in the pistachio cover. I feel like a lot of the journaling community has this particular color for their weeks this year, which is fine. Obviously, I also liked the cover. It's a very good color. And I have some deco here. I don't really do much in the front sections of this planner. I tried doing a photo diary in the monthly spread, but I fell off of that. So I mostly just use the weeklies. I do habit tracking, weekly tasks, reading tracker. Here I record when I do uploads on social media so I can see how frequently I'm uploading stuff. And then in the days, I do events in bold, and then I will write an overview of the day as it's happening. This is normally kind of open on my desk, and so as the day progresses, I just take little notes on what is going on. And that overview is normally what goes into my 5-year, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's nice to have that in here because if I do miss a couple days in the 5-year, I can always look back and backfill it very easily. And then in the back section, it's basically just a commonplace book. So I just will do anything I need. This is like a page of recipes and stuff. It's very practical back here. It's not aesthetic at all. Sometimes I'll do dailies if I do just need a little bit more space to plan a particularly busy day. But mostly I do all of my planning in the weeks and then just take notes in the back. I also have an extra little memo book back here that is specifically for me writing creative writing notes. So taking creative writing notes. There we go. So I always have this book with me. So it's nice to have a specific space where if I think of something for a story or a project that I'm working on, I can quickly just take a note and have it kind of in its own space. So I keep that in the back there. That's everything with the planner. It's pretty straightforward. Then memory keeping is all in here. So like I said, I take the overview from the weeks, put it in here. This is the A5 Hobonichi 5-year. I started this last year and I did miss a few days, but most of the year is filled, which is really all that matters to me. As long as most of it's in there, I'm fine. And yeah, this is just a sentence or maybe, I mean, sometimes I fill the box, but it is just straightforward memory keeping. I'm writing down what happened that day, so I have a record of it. I used to have a lot of anxiety about archiving old journals. I would constantly be worrying about what was sustainable for my practice, as in like how I was going to store those books long term, which is something I really didn't need to worry about to the extent that I was worrying about it. But having a book like this that is easily archived and is going to hold the memories of 5 years is great. It has alleviated some of that anxiety. So I'm kind of feel a little freer to explore my journaling when I have something that's like, okay, I know this is going to be with me for a long time. And that's kind of a safe space to just memory keep. Yes, this is no frills really, just what happened that day. And those are the only two books that I use every day. And then these are two that I use sometimes. The first is this one. It's in a Galen leather cover, but it is a Leuchtturm 1917 A5 in the sage color with a dot grid. And I think this is the most journal of my system. I put anything I want in here, but it does tend to be a little bit more aesthetic. This is definitely a creative outlet for me, a place where I can do some visual journaling and fulfill that side of the hobby without feeling as much pressure to do that like every day or anything like that. It's just whenever I want to come in here and do something, I will. There's cat hair everywhere. It's fine. There's 3 cats in this house, so it's not surprising. Yeah, at a minimum, I will work in this book 3 times a month. So I will do a start of the month spread. So this is from May, where I do like goals and big events. And then every new and full moon, I do 2 pages actually, because I'll do the kind of aesthetic little spread to fulfill my need for some visual aesthetics. And then I also do prompts every new and full moon that I pull from a newsletter I get for astrology. And so, yeah, that's like a consistent at least 5 spreads that I do every month between those. But I'll also do, just random other stuff. Sometimes I just write. Sometimes if we do a big event, like this was a hike that we went on, I printed out some pictures there and wrote just about that specifically. Sometimes I'll do, there's another new moon, but sometimes I'll do collections, more like kind of bullet journal style collections. I just started filling this one in because I want to do some reading tracking in here as well. So I'm just filling in this books that I've read so far this year. So those kind of spreads go in here too. It's just whatever I want to do at the time. So that is that guy. I think he'll definitely last me the rest of the year, if not into next year, because I'm only at like 53 of 200 and it's June. But we'll see. So it'll probably take me into 2026, which is nice. And then the last main book is this one, which is super bare bones. Not really, definitely no frills here. This is just writing. This is a A5 sterling ink in mauve. It's the grid spacing, and it has 520 pages, which is a lot. And I use this for morning pages. I don't do morning pages every day, but sometimes I do, probably like 2 or 3 times a week. And at minimum, I will fill a spread, right? So 2 pages. And it's just stream of consciousness journaling. I will probably fit at least 2 years in here, which is awesome. I actually think that this will be the journal that I will archive most, along with the 5-year. Even though I love like this blotting paper, even though I love like this journal, it's a little, nicer, more refined, I guess. I feel like the stream of consciousness is a better snapshot of my life and mindset. Like it really gives a glimpse into this period. So this will probably be the one that I'll archive most and look forward to eventually rereading or reflecting on at some point. Because I think it's a really interesting thing. I really do recommend doing morning pages if you're into journaling, or especially if you're creative, as has been kind of promoted as the artist way. But even if you're not creative, like just morning pages have that you can really explore and do some good introspection. Just trying to fill those pages and letting your thoughts kind of wander. That's everything. I will mention another kind of collection of books that I have. These are all paper blanks or Peter Popper Press journals. I normally pick these up whenever I find one that I like in bookstores, so I have quite a stack of them now. I use these for my creative writing projects, so each book is its own story or idea that I want to work on or have worked on. So, for example, like these two are current novel ideas that I'm working on. So I'm filling those in right now. And then this one is, I kind of completed working in it right now, but it was a fairy writing contest that I was submitting for. So I figured the cover was appropriate because it was fairy themed. So yeah, these um, just sit around until I'm actually working on the project that they're designated for. And so there's no timeline on these. They're not like part of my regular journal rotation. It's just whichever one I'm currently working on will be on my desk with all my other journals as well. I definitely do recommend getting a little bit of like a prettier, nicer notebook if you're into creative writing. I really do feel like it motivates me to write a little bit more, just because you makes it feel a little more special having a writing process when you're working in a really nice book that you enjoy. So yeah, that's everything. I think that is actually everything. Like I mentioned at the start, I have been journaling for a very long time. It took trial and error to get to this streamlined. This might not be streamlined for everybody, but for me, this is streamlined. I assure you. So yeah, don't be afraid to bounce around as you figure out what works for you. And I would love to hear about your journaling system in the comments. Is there anything that is similar to mine? Anything that is different? Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with you. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.